Hello everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and today I would like to share with you all my final thoughts on the Ferrum Forge and Wii Knife Co. collaborative work, Stinger. The Stinger has been brought to the market in multiple different variations, the first one being a budget one. I believe it had possibly 14C28 in blade material or Nitro V. It was most likely the Nitro V. Surprisingly, it's actually carried over to the premium one here. There was also a button lock variation that I actually had owned in the past. Wasn't the biggest fan of it. It just wasn't really my style, but Ferrum Forge is known for their typical design language, usually very simple lines, a beautifully executed flipper tab, and just when you see a Ferrum Forge design, you know it's a Ferrum Forge design. I did purchase this guy on secondary market through Blade Binge. I got this thing for a killer freaking deal. But I do want to say that if you were looking to get one of these brand spanking new, they're going to run you, I think, around I think 210, around $200. Hell no, absolutely no fucking way is this actually worth that much. Now, being produced by Wii, I will say that this is a below average production piece here. There are just things that are present in this knife that I don't believe warrant that price whatsoever. Not being made by Ferrum Forge or because it's Wii. It's just, this doesn't feel anywhere near a $200 knife. Now something around 150, preferably a tad bit below, I think that's a whole lot more justifiable. As I mentioned before, the blade material has stayed the same. It's Nitro V. Nitro V is good blade material and has actually been used on plenty of designs that are significantly more expensive than this. So the blade material isn't something that I'm holding a lot of value into. It's good blade material. If you know how to sharpen it, it's going to be a little bit better with a coarser working edge and then just some light stropping. Anything past probably like a 600 grit edge, it's just gonna get slick a little too fast. Now, for what this thing is, I do believe that it is well enough executed, just not for the price. It is still a good piece. It's just for what it is. It's only something I would recommend if you absolutely love the design. If you're just looking to get another piece to use as an EDC, you would enjoy it. You just may feel a little bit of sting. Haha, see what I did there? Yeah, I know, I'm really fucking lame. You might feel the sting of the price once you actually get this in hand, and I am very lucky and very grateful that I did not buy into this brand spanking new. Now, plenty other people that have shown off maybe this variation or the other ones that have nice inlays. The inlays look to be removable with some extra T6 body screws that are visible from the front scale, but this was the variation that I wanted because I wanted to have a very simple looking knife to be just add to my very small collection of gent knives. And I know gent knife is a very broad term. There are people in this community that believe a buck knife is a gent knife. I mean, you do you, but I strongly disagree with that. What I believe personally, and many of you may agree and may not agree, that a gent knife is something that is not overly tactical. It's not huge, something that is in the small range, compact or subcompact, and it is not visually aggressive and is not going to call a lot of attention in a certain situation where you would need to, I guess, dress a little bit nicer for a more appropriate setting. Having something that's not too flashy but has little nuances here that enthusiasts or the average person can appreciate because of, you know, the way that it's shaped or maybe the way that it performs. I think this actually fits in this category rather well. Now, I do have 6 typical size comparison knives ranging from small, medium, and large, but I also have pulled 2 other knives in my collection that I actually have taken to nice occasions, and I have shown to non-knife people that actually think that they're pretty cool. Now, the knives that I have in my gent section, you may disagree, and that is completely okay. Anybody can call whatever they want a gent knife, but on this channel, something that's slim, not super tactical, and I guess visually aggressive looking is what I would consider to be a gent knife. Something that's very easy to deploy, and it's going to sit in the pocket rather low. Nothing that's going to stick out too much, or you know, the freaking ass of the knife is just hanging out. And something that is relatively lightweight to not leave a unattractive crease in your nice slacks, of course. This may be something that you can carry in your coat pocket as well on the inside, but I mean, pocket is really where a pocket knife should be, so that's just me. We're gonna take the weight after size comparison size knives, and then the 2 extra little ones to show off in comparison, and then we're just gonna get into the rest of it. So there's a lot of good and a good bit of negative and this as well, so stick around if you're interested in seeing what I have to say about this. But let's start with the comparison size knives. Here we have Spyderco Native 5. So the Stinger is a little bit longer overall, of course slimmer in height. This is a Free Tiger knife, the 2103. Yeah, FT 2103 if anyone's interested in this model. It is essentially the same overall size as a Benchmade Bug Out. So those are the smalls. And then we'll go into the mediums. This is the CMB Made Knives Predator, which is a little bit longer overall. Definitely much girthier in hand. Here we have the Civivi Vision FG. Again, a little bit longer overall. And the last two for the typical comparison size knives, the large ones. Here we have Spyderco Manix 2 and the wonderful MSI. So hopefully those 6 knives help you guys get a good visual representation of what the Stinger is all about. I would consider this to be a compact size knife. Now for the special featured ones, the ones that I would consider to be gent knives, don't worry about that. That's just some schmuck on the blade. This is the Sativia knife. I'm over here stuttering. ST995. This is actually the knife that I carried on my wedding day, and never ever in the I believe 6.5, almost 7 years that I've been in the hobby would I think a Sativian would earn a spot in my pocket on the wedding day. But it did, because I like the knife just as much. And here we have a very heavily customized Monterey Bay Knives Sea Otter. So I've done all the coloring work to it, the anodization and the flame treatment of the, I guess, steel components. And then the deep engraving work was done by somebody who no longer does work in the community, unfortunately, because they did some really cool stuff. So it's definitely, the Sativia 995 is a little bit longer overall, not by much. Very well contoured and comfortable in hand. And then the Sea Otter, which now there is a Sea Line, which is I believe like a whole 1.5 inches or maybe 1.25 inches longer overall. I would most definitely like to pursue one of those, but this little guy right here, the Sea Otter, I do actually carry it quite a bit to nicer occasions because it is not aggressive. It is not you know, an absurd item to carry in the pocket. It doesn't weigh a whole lot, but it is a denser object, but it's really not that bad. And same thing with this guy. You do not have a deep carry pocket clip, but at least like that much is sticking out. Wish it was a little bit deeper, but I'm not gonna complain too much. Same thing with this guy. You have that, you know, that folded over clip there, and about that much, about the same amount sticks out of your pocket. So you get a little pop of color, I guess. But I would prefer something a little bit deep carry, but you know, these are my, you know, 2 gent knives, and now adding a third one. This is one that actually has a deep carry pocket clip, which is really nice. So it's gonna have essentially that tiny little piece just sticking out right there, which isn't much, and a micro clip. This comes standard. This is a folded over steel clip. All the hardware on here, including the pivot, is steel. The pivot is a T8. Oh, sorry, let me do weight real quick. So this thing doesn't weigh a whole lot. There is 0 internal milling. Kind of wish there was, at least to justify the price. So 2.9, almost 3 ounces, not bad at all. Really nothing to complain about there. But I'd say to justify that price, either put S35V in, which is something that We Knife Co. is known for doing, right? With the industry standard heat treat, or maybe 20 CV. They've done a lot of that as well. Now, they've been doing that for years, so it's kind of odd that they would put Nitro V on this. So this is what I would call a awkwardly placed, you know, primo budget knife. There are a couple other examples out there where, you know, you either have where half the knife is high end, the other half is kind of mid tier. A lot of people would say that Spyderco knives, most of them in general, with, you know, cool sprint run blade materials, the blade is where all the value is at, and the handle is just, I mean, it's just plastic and steel, really, right? But then you have other examples like this Stinger, or this guy right here. This is definitely a fan favorite of a lot of people now. A lot of people have seen this. This is a Flipper Tab Delete Kubi titanium titty. You have 14C28 on the blade, and just beautifully micro milled and contoured full tie construction, the hardware and the clip. I of course did all the anodization myself, but this is a budget primo knife. This thing has just stupid good action. I do have skiffs in here, of course, but with the original bearings, it was almost just as good, really. But you have arguably budget blade material and just incredible execution. So I'm not really super big on getting the most amount of money out of your blade material. I do absolutely value the overall construction of the knife and how well it was actually built. So it doesn't bug me too much that they use Nitro V, but it is something that a lot of people may not be super happy about. If you know how to sharpen it, it is just as good as really anything in the mid-range for blade material. So talking about the overall construction, it's very simple, very plain, nothing fancy going on here. No internal milling, as I mentioned before. You have a TA for the pivot, T6 for everything else. Extremely minimal body hardware. You have 4 pieces to essentially unscrew. So one T6, excuse me, for the pocket clip. It is flat and inset into the scale, so in and out of the pocket, perfect. It's freaking beautiful in and out of the pocket. The clip is not a hot spot, even though it looks like it just like shoots straight up there. It's not a bad clip whatsoever. This isn't something you're going to be doing a lot of hard work with anyway, so yeah, I would not consider this to be a hot spot of a clip. Little T6 over here that shoots all the way through, and it is not visible on the other side. I like that. That's pretty cool. Also, you won't have to like worry about over tightening or anything like that. You have a T6 right here also for the hardened steel insert, over travel stop, and a ceramic detent ball. It's very nice. Everything there is well knocked down and just very smooth, nothing that's super snaggy. And the face over here is the Ferrum Forge F and typical shield shaped, triangle shaped captured pivot there, which I think is absolutely wonderful. I love having a captured pivot. I think this is a very good looking knife. I think for what they sought out to make, it was well executed by We, but it feels like a very old We. The pivot is tight. The blade is super light and extremely thin on the stock. You have a very dainty, delicate tip, so you do not want to do anything stupid with this. No prying, no picking, you know, at your own risk, of course, but this is going to be a more performance, you know, slicer, especially if you put a relatively aggressive low angle on this. Now, I have 17-degree edge on here, and as you can see, the edge bevel, or I guess the shiny part of the edge here, it's really not that wide, so it's not super funky looking. The finish on the blade itself, I think it's wonderful for I guess the application here for to fit the overall design. It's just a full stone wash. It's very light, very faint on the blade. I think it's appropriate. I do absolutely enjoy that the blade is almost 100% sterile, with the only thing being that Nitro V right there, the blade steel stamp right there. Besides that, that's the only branding, that's the only markings on the blade, and I think it's absolutely wonderful. That also, again, to me, I would consider this to be a gent knife. It's not super, you know, shouty, I guess, visually speaking. In my unboxing and first impressions of this, I did mention that I wanted to do a flipper tab delete. I'm still not sure if I want to do that or not, because I've actually been enjoying the flipper tab quite a bit. And while this is very comfortable to flip, also flicking with that, I mean, it's not a super sharp fuller there, but it's very, very easy. You can use the skin of your finger or your nail. My nails are a little bit lengthy right now, and I do plan to cut them soon, but it's very easy, very comfortable. Also, you have the fuller here, it's the same exact on the other side. You can go ahead and just thumb flick it. And of course, you're going to be using the skin of your thumb. It's not something that's super reliable, because this is a design with just a exposed frame lock here, and it is a little sensitive to excess pressure there on the actual frame. Looking here at the back of it, you do have this space where it's like clamshell construction, and you have this, you know, milling design here. I think it looks cool. It almost kind of reminds me of like stitching of a baseball almost. I know those are like angled in a way, but I think that's a cool little touch right there. You cannot touch the live edge back here, even with my lengthier nails. I can't even touch that blade at all. Also, the tip, it is down in there. You can't pick that out. You're not gonna feel that at all. So very safe, very well made. Does this have any detent lash? Absolutely not. Any side to side movement? Nope. I also have skiffs in here, if I didn't mention already, so that definitely helps with side to side rigidity. Up and down, absolutely nothing. So this is a lot of stuff that we expect in this price range, but I would say that with the overall action, I would expect this to be maybe a little bit smoother, a little bit more free-flowing. This has skiffs, it should be very smooth. This has hardened steel racers that are essentially semi-polished. So I would expect this thing to just be a little bit smoother and drop down a little bit easier, I guess. It doesn't bug me too much, and you know what, maybe I just haven't used it enough. Maybe it's gonna get better from here, I don't know, but I like it enough to keep it in the collection and also do some custom work on it. So here in the near future, you guys will most likely see some customization content. I'm gonna be doing some anodization. Maybe I'll do a flipper tab delete, just because I've never been the biggest fan of flippers, and I think that this overall profile would look really cool if the flipper just wasn't there. And because you have that secondary deployment method, I'm okay with that. I mean, this is my knife. If I don't want to have a flipper tab anymore, then I won't have a flipper tab anymore. If I want to, I guess, cut my fidgetability options in half by removing the flipper tab and I'll just reverse flick. Well, you know what? That reverse flick is extremely crisp and very easy to get to reliably. So I don't mind that at all. You can see here that there is some jimping on the spine. It's not aggressive at all. It's there if you press down into it, but again, it's not a hard use knife whatsoever. You do have a full-size forward finger trowel there. Now I have large to extra large size hands, and I fit on this thing pretty comfortably. There is plenty of handle to go around. My only thing is, as a warning to anybody else who has maybe thicker fingers, this is gonna nick you a little bit. Yeah, so I would just suggest maybe one little knuckle in, maybe not full two in, and just maybe rest a little bit further down on that flipper tab right there. Or if you just get rid of the flipper tab at all, you'll have, you know, free reign to, you know, slide up and down a little bit more if you would like to. So that's kind of where, you know, I'm trying to come from with removing the flipper tab, that this would be a more inviting design if there wasn't a flipper tab. So that's just me. It's just a visual thing. I'm not a fan of flipper tabs, so I may or may not chop it, but either way it should be pretty easy, because the stop pin doesn't hit anywhere here. It's actually So there's the face of the blade, and then the stop pin is located there and hits underneath right there. So removing the flipper tab and having it flush with the back here, and having it flush kind of rounded with the scale right there, shouldn't be too difficult to round it off and match it up in both open and closed positions, so it shouldn't be too bad. I'm really considering doing it because while the flipper tab is good, it's well jimped, and you know the design of it is good by Ferrum Forge. I just don't care for flippers. That's just my thing. But I will say that I think this would be a really cool knife if they made a large or an XL, because the shape, the overall silhouette and profile is excellent. I think this would be a really cool, I think that would be a really cool addition if they made an extra large and maybe put some, you know, updated blade material. I think maybe some Magna Cut or S90V would be in order. I know we can do it. We, as I mean we Knife Co, of course. I know they can definitely do it, and then put a little bit of their extra fancy new age machining skills into it, because yeah, I think this needs it. This feels like a really old Wii knife, and so that's just pretty much it. So if you guys like this video, go ahead and leave a like down below. If you are subscribed, thank you so much. I appreciate all your support and your patience, of course. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing, because I have plenty more videos and content coming you guys this way. And with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.